Howdy Spacers, welcome back to Blank Space Dolls. As mentioned in my previous video, this custom is sure to put on a show. I would like to mention that this doll was actually my first commissioned piece for one of my subscribers and also an owner of one of my previous customs, so a huge thank you to Annette for your continued support of my work. Now let's get on with the show. So if everyone will take their seats, we can begin. For this tutorial, the theme was Burlesque Showgirls, using Dita Von Teese heavily as inspiration because of her classic pinup style, her porcelain skin, bright red lipstick, and signature beauty mark, as well as feather headdresses, corseted details, high-waisted faux leather shorts, fringe detailed outfits, and strappy red heels. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to leave a comment below if you have ideas for future customs. Now let's get started. For this custom, I actually started with a Mira Shards base because I really liked her ivory skin tone and I thought it would contrast well with the reds and golds in her outfit. And you can also see here I've already chopped her hair off in preparation for customizing. And as usual, you go in with 100% acetone and begin to wipe away her factory paint, as well as removing those hair plugs from inside the head and wiping the factory paint off of her scalp as well. Once all of that's done, you have a factory head ready for customizing. Now we can begin the rerouting. For this project, I actually went with this auburn red colored Kanekalon Braiding Hair, which is actually number 27. So if you guys are going to go out and look for it, it is number 27. I'm going to start including that number on all of my projects, just so that way it's a little bit easier for you guys to find. And here I'm just checking and deciding what hairstyle I want to go with, and I actually decided to go with a floor-length ponytail again, of course, because I just find them so glamorous. So here I'm just mapping out where I think I want it to go. And once the whole hairline is fully rerouted, this is what it looks like, and I'm going to go in the next clip and paint the scalp to match the hair color that I chose. I did boil wash this hair, and I'm going to use these two acrylic paints to match the scalp. And this is what you get after 3 coats of the acrylic paint. Then a quick check to make sure the scalp isn't showing through the hair. Once that's done, then it's face-up time. I begin by using a light yellow in my Faber-Castell watercolor pencil to begin sketching out the initial shape that I want for the eyes. Just a quick side note, I have received quite a bit of feedback saying that you guys do like to see the steps for the layers of MSC, and I did include that in this video as well. Just keep in mind I do read all of the comments, and so if you guys have anything that you want to see in future videos or any concerns that you may have or things that you want me to go a little bit deeper in discussion about, make sure to leave that in the comment section because I will begin to include those in my future videos. Thank you guys so much for the feedback. It's quite funny because layer 1 always looks quite scary and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I doing this right? I hope I didn't mess it up. But you can see here as I begin going in with the darker color and really defining that eye shape, it begins to look more like an eye. And I am using my black Derwent watercolor pencil here to begin drawing in that eyeliner, and then I do go in on the bottom liner as well. And this is all, of course, after filling in that white sclera color with my white chalk pastel pencil, and I did use a red Derwent watercolor pencil to fill in that waterline, and adding my signature blank space lower eyelash, 1 singular. I mentioned it in a previous video, I do only do 1 bottom eyelash because I've never been able to figure out those floofy eyelashes that everyone does, so yes, I just do the 1 singular bottom lash and that's what you get. And you can see here that layer 2 has been applied, and layer 3 as well. And then once that has all dried and been sealed in with MSC, I go in with my chalk pastels and begin to give her initial makeup look above her eyelids. And I did kind of want it to be an ombre from a dark gray to a auburn red color, and then it actually fades on the inner corner to a gold metallic PearlEx color. I did want it to feel a little bit glamorous and I wanted it to be really sharp, so you can also see that I've added a piece of masking tape on the sides of her face just to make sure I get a really sharp line, and I seal that with MSC. And I go in and begin filling in the colored iris parts of her eye, and for this one I'm actually going to be using a combination of 2 different colors of green and yellow on the inner part, just to kind of give it a little bit of dimension. And this is actually me trying a little bit something new because I normally don't do this much fading with the watercolor pencils, but I really want to work on the way that I detail my eye colors and the detail I put into my eyes. And it's around the 5th layer when you can really start to see the face start to come to life and adding in those black pupils. And then in layer 6 I begin adding a little bit more of the final details, and in layer 7 is where you add the eye shines and the small flicks of hair in the eyebrow. And now on to body blushing. I think a bunch of artists do it a little bit differently, but we all kind of get the same results. For me, I always start with the same hot pink that I use on the face for the normal blushing. And I go in with my 2 favorite Morphe brushes, which is the Morphe M213 and the Morphe M149, because one of them is a fluffier round brush and one of them is like a fluffy flat brush. So I'm able to really get in there and create some of the shapes that I like to use. And I kind of switch back and forth between the 2 of them here in these next few clips, just to kind of get the shaping and the shadowing that I really want in there, before I go in with that rust brown color just to kind of deepen those shadows a little bit, mainly focusing on the navel, the clavicle, and then right above on her chest area. And once you're happy with the layers you've applied there, this is what you get after it's been sealed with Mr. Super Clear. And I did go in off camera and added some nail polish to her toenails and her fingernails, just for a little extra added detail. Yay, and now that that's done, we can move on to the costume materials. For this project, I actually went around and just gathered all the sparkly bits I could find, as well as some other materials that I thought would work for this custom. I do end up adding a few later, but these are a majority of what I used. You guys know that I love my glass, crystals, and Swarovski elements. You can see I'm really excited there. And we're gonna move into the headdress or fascinator, and I begin by taking a piece of leather fabric that I have, folding it in half, and sketching out a guitar pick shape on there, and go ahead and go in and cut that out. And once that's done, you do actually get this guitar shaped piece of fabric, and you fold that in half again and just cut a small triangle out of the top of it. And what you're gonna do is just fold it and sew those edges together to create a little fascinator shape. You'll also see here that I have sewn up those edges together, and this is what it looks like, and I've just tucked the tip part of the hat in. And I just wanted to show you guys a little trick here. Whenever you cut these shapes out, and if you cut it correctly, the top of it should be able to fit into that original shape, so that should help guide you in making the next part of the fascinator pattern. I just thought that was a neat little trick, and I thought that I would show that to you guys just in case you wanted to recreate this on your own. And here it is after I've just rounded that original shape, and I also added an extra piece of triangular fabric onto the front half of that and rounded the edge around the head as well. And here I actually trimmed it with that chained crystal that I showed before, and I've begun to lay out the feather crowns behind it, and here you'll see it attached. Then we begin adding the crystal details to the headdress. Here's a little tip: if you stagger the sizes of crystals that you use, it will give a better shine effect because there will be different facets for the light to reflect off of. And here in crystal tip number 2, you'll see that I say do not use super glue because you run the risk of making the crystal look cloudy, so I always recommend crystal glue over super glue. For the shoes, I take these heels out of my stock box and cut all of the details off of them to basically get a sole base, and I paint those black in preparation for the chain crystals that I'm going to add later. And off camera, I make these cute little tights using a stock pair of Monster High Fishnet Tights. Here you'll see the shoes and tights added to the doll. I just love the shiny crystal detail. It makes the shoes look so much more expensive and elegant. Moving on to the corset bodysuit. For this pattern, I actually lay the doll against a folded piece of paper and trace around her body just to give me a general shape of what I want, but also to give me a generic pattern shape, so that way I can refine it and draw it once I remove the body off here, and you'll see me do that in just a second. And I am by no means a master at making patterns. I've said in my previous videos, I kind of just wing it most of the time and kind of draw out shapes that I think will work for me, and they tend to work out. But if you guys are looking for like more in-depth tutorials or ones that actually work, definitely check out WalkerColours. She is amazing, and that's where I learned most of my techniques as well. I'll be sure to link her channel below, but besides that, we're going to go ahead and label the front and the back of this pattern piece as if it wasn't obvious which one is the front and the back. But then I'm going to go ahead and tape that onto the leather fabric that I'm going to make it out of. And I find this just keeps the pattern from slipping around so that I'm able to cut it exactly as it's laid out. And be sure, sometimes you will have to alter patterns just as you see fit based on how it fits onto the doll itself. And here I'm actually using an old pattern that I had before to make the little bustier top, and I wanted it to be strapless and almost seamless, so I ended up using this thinner PU leather material before going in with this fringe detailing to make the skirt. Just look at it, you guys, I couldn't help myself, sorry. And then this is what the skirt looked like, and off camera I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly crystallize that. Bam! It's done. It truly is so rewarding to crystallize anything. To begin adding details to the outfits, I'm going to be using this nail art decor to decorate the back of her bustier, and I actually finished the little shorts I made with some ribbon, rhinestones, and a cute little fork bow, and then I'm going to crystallize the bustier top. For the top, I'm actually using 3 different size crystal Swarovski elements just to give it a little shine, and you'll see here it's almost done. We're almost there, you guys. Like, let's get to the final photos. Blank Space Studios is proud to present Ava Rose. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys so much. I had such a great time creating this custom, and I love that her color palette is such a drastic change from my previous customs, and I hope that some of the tips and tricks that I offer in my videos help you guys out in your customs, or maybe help start your customizing journey. Either way, I would love to know. Be sure that if you ever recreate any of my looks that you tag me on Instagram at BlankSpaceDolls, where in my world there's always a blank space. Let's customize it together. Until next time, Spacers, see you soon.